Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Casey White, co founder at Jaju Pierogi. Casey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, would you like to kick us off and tell us a little bit about your background and what your company does?
Yeah, so my name is Casey White. I'm the co-founder of Jaju Pierogi. We've been in the space for about 9 years now. So we specialize in making high quality pierogi at scale to grocery stores throughout the country. And that's what we've been doing. Yeah, it's crazy for almost a decade. Never really envisioned myself owning a food business at such an early age, but started when I was 24 years old. Now almost 33, so it's been a ride.
Wow. So, you have a 10-year anniversary celebration coming up.
Exactly. It's just crazy, but it's a good
Fan-
thing.
Fantastic. So, tell us a little bit about what's driven your business's success to this point.
I feel like persistence and being super resourceful are the reasons why we've lasted so long. So, starting a food company is not an easy task, not an easy feat. You don't know what you don't know throughout the entire journey, and you kind of have to lean into that. So, yeah, persistence meaning like there's always a fire drill. There's some roadblock that comes along the way because you just haven't been to that point in your business yet. So you're constantly learning, and you just have to recognize when you're hitting a roadblock or coming up on a hard time and decide if that moment is to roll up your sleeves and kind of tackle the task at hand, or to ask other people for help, people who've already been in the space, people who've been in this position before. And I think that I'm very self-aware at what point in time I am at in the business. So I typically take one path or the other. And I think that's really allowed us to succeed.
So you mentioned being resourceful, right? So can you think of an example of maybe one of those moments where you had to, bootstrap a solution together, whether it's money for your startup or reaching out to someone else in the industry, something along those lines?
Yeah, I would say so. Back in 2018, we were deciding to build out our first and our only so far food manufacturing space. And yeah, so we started, we need this equipment, we need this type of space. We want to be in between the two of us, my sister and I, she's on Beverly, I'm in Somerville. So we were really working out like the specifics for the space. But once we landed on the space, we thought we could just start going and, hire whoever we wanted to hire, and quickly realized that that's not the case. You can't do that. You have to hire like a general contractor. You need to get all these permits. You need to do it the right way. And so, we didn't know. So I just remember, and I didn't know anything to do with, building out any sort of facility. So what you do, you Google basically like, who do I reach out to in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts to do
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z? Then look around at other businesses that are similar to your size or similar to what you're doing and ask them questions. How did you get permitted? Who do you recommend? Like asking the real estate agent. Like you just have to kind of look around who's within your network or who has been doing something similarly and just ask. And I've always found in the last 10 years, like being vulnerable and just recognizing that you have no clue, like what the next step should be, it is better than pretending you know what you're doing and then getting your hand slapped later. So,
I think that's a valuable, really valuable lesson for startups in any industry, not just CPG. So you're talking about building out, your early production facility. But before the interview, you told me that you told me that you manufacture your own product for a lot of years before outsourcing production to a co-manufacturer. And in consumer packaged goods, we know that's obviously a very common practice. So how did you know the time was right for Jaju to start working with a co-manufacturer as opposed to maybe building out a bigger production facility?
yeah, so I think we were making about 40,000 pierogi a week when we were in the facility. And there's a lot of manual pieces to that process. So we had, you know, efficiencies, but we were still manually packaging our pierogi. We were stacking. We had one walk-in freezer. Were stacking the freezer with racks upon racks, like side stacking trays, so we could get them to freeze. Waiting for them to like. It was just so inefficient, and we were quickly realizing, like, okay, We can't do more than what we're doing now, and that translates to X revenue a year. So it's like, okay, are we complacent with that? No, we weren't. Also, we were at a point where we were distributing to a lot of independent retailers. So our next step was we want to get into larger grocery, national distribution, the bigger stores. And so at the same time, we were having this, moment of, okay, this is we're nearing the point where we need to either, outsource or build a new facility out. And Stop and Shop came to us and was very interested in the product. And then after 3 years of trying, Sprouts Farmers Market actually came back to us and said, yeah, we'll take you on. And we were like, okay, this can't happen here. Like, we just knew that. So we just started, we did the numbers out, and we were just like, okay, if we want to build out another facility, it could be a potentially $1 million build out, or let's see who we can partner with. So we pretty quickly found a co-manufacturer that had the right equipment and the facility to produce our pierogi on the South Shore. So we were super, that was lucky in a sense, because it was a quick process for us. But you kind of, we always try to figure it out, but there is a point, right, where you're like, no matter how many more hours you try to push towards this production process, like, there's only 24 hours in the day, so you can't do more than you can do, and you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to, like, sit down for a second. So that was the moment. But also, like, to build out another facility would also require us to manage production, hire a larger team. Like, we were at a point where we really wanted to focus on growing and scaling the business, not just the operation, but from sales and marketing standpoint. And so we realized too, if we go that route, we might still be kind of slaves to the kitchen. And we were definitely, like, a little defeated and a little tired from that experience.
What were those days like, at least just before you made the decision to move into co-manufacturing?
We were boiling pierogi around the clock, so we had, like, boiling shifts. So I'm a morning person. My sister is, like, a late nighter. So we would take turns. We'd have our employees working, regular, like, 7 to 5, and
Wow.
then we'd come through the night, just, like, constantly boiling, packaging, trying to keep it going. It was nuts.
Wow. So for our viewers that are watching this, if you find yourself in that situation, that's your trigger.
Yeah,
When you're running 24/7, that's your trigger. It's time to either expand or go get help. I love that.
definitely.
So, and I'm checking out your website right now, and there's so many different varieties here. I can't wait to get my hands on some. So, what excites you most about the future of Jaju Pierogi?
So the dumpling market is really hot right now. So uh, it's expected by, like, 2030 that the dumpling market in the US would be $130 billion, which I think is insane. Or the global market for dumplings. And so that's double what it is now. And we're seeing it, people are interested and ready to heat products that are better for you, that are still indulgent, that are still, like, that home cooked meal.
Yeah.
And so we're just experiencing that a lot right now, which is really exciting because there's just momentum there. Also, like, we recognize our pierogi are very versatile. So, right now we have been focused in grocery distribution, but our pierogi can be sold at ski resorts, restaurants, breweries, like, not just grocery. The opportunities are endless, from food service and retail and everything in between. So that's kind of what gets me most excited, because you can get really creative, and you can actually, you can make a very profitable business if you get in with the right people and the right accounts, and we can sit anywhere. So that's what's cool.
It just amazes me that the market is so big, and that there's precise data like that for a product such as yours to that you can analyze, right, and use to scale and plan your business.
Yeah. It's very exciting. So
Well, so flipping things around, right? So it's easy to be excited about the future. You've got great data, you've got a great future, you got a great product. So, but if you could wave a magic wand over your business and make one thing happen, change something, what would that be?
honestly, I would wave the magic wand, and our distribution partners would be more like partners and less like money collectors.
Mm,
So it's just tied to the business, right? Because you have to use these two larger national distributors to get your product to grocery throughout the country. You have to use them, but they nickel and dime you. Everyone in this business is operating at a very not like a low margin. So
right.
everyone needs to make money somehow, but it's pretty difficult as a small emerging brand to continue on when you sit between like the 500K revenue to even 10 million in sales yearly, and then you're getting all these deductions, these promotions that are required by these stores, and free fills. So free fills are, basically you have to pay to play and be on the shelf. So like your real estate position in the grocery store. So there's just a lot of charges that really add up. And so I feel like I would love for everyone to come together and understand how we can do this together and make everybody money, not one or two
Interesting.
players. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sensing some kind of a consortium coming together here.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of, I mean, the good thing, right? The good thing here is like we all are feeling it, and we all talk about it, and we all express this even to the distributors, right? When they ask you to, hey, you didn't do another promotion this year. Well, we're quick to tell them why we can't do that, right? Like we know our numbers just like they know their numbers. So I think hopefully, because there is a lot of pushback and there's a lot of like, how does anyone make money here on the supplier side? That
Yeah.
something's got to give. But that would be my,
That's your magic wand, and you've been practicing. I can tell. I like it. So you mentioned we, right? We all talk about it, and so on and so forth. Uh, Kind of going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here with this question, but what are the businesses, or what are the types of businesses are you talking to, and how often are you networking amongst people in your industry?
yeah, it's a very close knit community within the CPG, consumer packaged goods industry. So, yeah, I mean, I'm part of Naturally New England, which is a network that is, yeah, of all like startup CPG companies that there's different events throughout the month, in person, virtually, just like coming together, talking about what we're going through, webinars, education series. There's startup CPG. There's a lot of different networking groups that you can be a part of. And so that's kind of where we, all come together and work through whatever problem we're working through. And they're not expensive to be a part of. And I think it's important, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know, and someone else has probably gone through that experience before you. And so it's just important to be asking all the time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's fantastic when people in similar industries come together and share information, right? Share concerns, support each other.
Right.
And I see some industries that they just don't come out of their own building, right? They go in to work every day, they go to battle, and they go home and they don't want to talk to anybody else. And I feel like that mindset, you're really missing out on not just learning from others, but supporting others. And I think that's what makes a stronger industry. So that was really cool that you just shared that. So the name of the show is Made in New England, right? And so I got asked a question about being in New England. So you're a Massachusetts-based business. How does being in Massachusetts or New England in general impact your business, pros or cons?
Yeah. So, I mean, New England has the highest population density in the entire country, right? So this area of the country is there's so many people, which means there's so many more independent retailers like on every single corner, mom and pop shops, a lot of small businesses that are just everywhere you go, everywhere you drive. And so that was really, and now I recognize that that's not the case elsewhere. I born in Massachusetts, grew up here, so this is all I knew. But now, being in the business and experiencing other parts of the country, it's not this way. So it really has helped us because when we started, we were like feet on the street, and we could be because, you get in your car, you can hit up 25 independent retailers in the course of 45 minutes. It's crazy, right? And so, which is great. So we would do that. We would go into these stores. At that point, it was a hinge container with like a wraparound, very grassroots look. Hand over the pierogi, to the buyer, call the buyer until they told us to stop annoying them or said yes. And we did that from 2018 to really like 2021. And we got, by 2021, we were in like 500 stores, really just doing that, which I think is very unique to this region of the country. So that's been huge. And also like the access to grants. We were in Lynn, Massachusetts, so that's like a gateway community. I think there's like 26 in the state of Massachusetts. And so being in a gateway city gives you access to more of like the grants and the loans, small business loans. And so that was huge for us too. So we've had a really good experience being here.
Amazing. Yeah. And so last question, right? Any advice for budding business leaders or those facing similar business challenges? You mentioned earlier you're coming up on your 10-year anniversary, and I think you said you're now age 34. So you've been a young business owner for a long time now.
32.
I apologize. I gotta listen better. So, and I don't need to add any more years to you. So, any advice for people that find themselves in a similar situation? What would you tell them? What would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
Well, so it's kind of going back to what I was saying. It's like it's really important to not think you can figure it out when you don't have to figure it out on your own because you're just you're a new business leader, you're new to the industry, whatever the industry is. Like, I mean, like you said, right? There's some industries that do just walk into their building and like don't talk to anyone, and that's tough and that's brutal. And I don't think anyone needs to live that way. It's not necessary, right? But like, it's very important, and it's not just like talking to like really understand like the market you're entering by just talking to as many people as possible. I would say that to myself 10 years ago because we really entered the market probably not the correct way in the sense that we, Polish descent, took our grandfather's recipes, grew up on our grandfather's recipes. They sold pierogi by the dozen. That's what we knew. That's what we did because that's what Polish people do. But we didn't really step back to understand what the market's doing in grocery shelves, right? Dumplings aren't sold by the dozen typically. They're sold by like 7, 8 ounces, 9 ounces. Why? Because they want to hit a certain price point for natural channels or conventional. People do market research, right? We just were very naive in entering the space. And so, which, hey, we figured it out. We recognize that now. There's opportunity to change your pack size, etc. But that just ties to any industry in the sense of like, understand the market, do your homework, and like the challenges will be there, but really like set yourself up for success initially by just talking to as many people and leaning on any network you possibly can to kind of save yourself a few years ahead of time.
Nice. Awesome answer. So Casey White, co-founder of Jaju Pierogi, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great chatting with you and just learning more about you and your business.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. Keep an eye out for the next episode of Made in New England interview series. Hope you all have a great day.